Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and welcome to another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Celebrity Jobber Podcast, also youtube.com/the @Celebrity Jobber. You can stream us wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on all of them. And please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a review. We talk to celebrities about what they did before they were famous, like their first job, what their big break was, maybe a certain passion, what they'd be doing if they weren't famous. Candace Bure has been in showbiz since she's been a little kid. Candace, the sister of former TV heartthrob Kirk Cameron. Remember him from the 80s sitcom Growing Pains? She's also the wife of former NHL player Valerie Bure. Candace became a star in the 1990s as she played the role of DJ Tanner on Full House. Who knows what she would have become if she didn't get the role of DJ Tanner? How did she get into the business at such a young age? Candace Bure is my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Hello, Candace. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
How is Val doing?
Val's awesome.
Awesome. Glad to hear.
He's fantastic.
We miss him. Definitely miss him out there, I'll tell you that much. Especially now it's this time of year, you know?
I know.
I'm sure you don't feel the same way, right?
Well, gosh, I would love to see him on the ice again, but I don't miss like the worry and anxiety during playoffs and wondering like how much longer the season is and when are we going to get to go on vacation.
Right. And all the travel and not being around is, a lot too. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So listen, I'm so excited to talk to you because first of all, I know that you have a new project, Unsung Heroes, and I want to get to that and talk about that at length. But if you wouldn't mind telling me a little bit about how you got into the business at such an early age. You were such a young kid.
Yeah, I was 5 when I started doing commercials, and it was a little bit of a fluky thing in that I was born and raised in Los Angeles. And so my mom had a friend and she had her kids in the business and she was like, oh, let me take your kid's picture to my agent. And the agent said, sure, I'll see them, I'll audition them. And my mom basically said, do you want to try being in commercials? Or you can take soccer, or you can take tap and ballet, or, just some extracurricular activity.
Right.
And I was like, sure, we'll try commercials. And that's how it started.
Wow.
That was it.
And yeah, I mean, it was, I was just watching this a few days ago. You're going to probably laugh, but do you remember the big line that you had when they told you to shut up in Some Kind of Wonderful?
Oh my gosh, no.
It's my pleasure. You remember that?
That's funny. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I love that movie. Every time it comes on and I see her on there, I'm like, oh, look, here's Candace. She's just a little kid. So I just saw it the other day, though, but I wanted to mention it. So your parents, they're not in showbiz. Just so happens you live in L.A., other kids' parents had them in showbiz, asked you if you wanted to try it, and you said yes, and pretty much the rest is history?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, which is crazy. But, I have 2 older sisters and an older brother, and my brother's in the business too.
Yes, I know.
He's not as much in the business, but when he was younger. But my sisters also tried it, and my one sister, Melissa, just didn't like it, didn't want to be in it, So we all have the option And I really liked it. And I started working right away doing commercials. So I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to do.
So it's so funny, Candace, because a lot of young girls, their first job would be something like babysitting or working at the mall. What was your first job?
My first job was a commercial for an insurance company. I don't remember. I remember I had a pretty little dress on, and I ran up to the other actress, the lady playing my mom, and I had to like run up and sit in her lap as she was like balancing her checkbook or something.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then, insurance when you're a little kid, it doesn't sound like, it would be a perfect fit, but that's awesome. So can you tell me what your big break? I would imagine your big break was becoming or getting the role of DJ Tanner on Full House. Can you tell me how that happened for you and how your life changed right after that?
Yeah, I would say the same thing too. I had been working already for 5 years before I was cast on Full House, and just like anything, I went on an audition for it, and that went well. They called me back for a second audition, and anyway, you just get sides. Like, you don't know what anything's going to be. You're like, oh, it's a new TV show. Okay, great. You audition for plenty of TV shows, but you never know which ones are going to go and when you're going to get it. So I got cast on that as DJ, and then I was actually the time that they were shooting the pilot, I was filming a movie called Punchline with Sally Field and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were in the middle of production on that movie, and the dates didn't work out. So it was like, well, I'm already on this other film, and so they actually pushed the pilot dates for me for Full House.
Wow.
So that I could still do the role, which was pretty awesome. And then that's when it all started, and it definitely changed my life. It's crazy to be known by so many people and be considered maybe someone's big sister. I know a lot of people come up to me and say, I wish DJ was my big sister. And it's an incredible thing, but I feel so proud of that it was such a great show and love to be a part of it, and that the legacy is still living on like 35 years later.
Yeah, with all the reunions and everything that's happened in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about the late, great Bob Saget and what kind of guy he was? And I've had the opportunity to interview him a few times, and he just seemed so funny, just regular guy. But could you kind of talk about some great experiences and what kind of guy Bob Saget was?
Yeah, Bob was seriously one of the best human beings I've ever known in my life. And I would say that if he were alive. It's not just because, he's gone, but he truly was. He was such a generous, loving, kind man. He always thought of others before himself, and then obviously super funny and talented. But Bob was one of the closest people in my life, and he leaves a great legacy because he, again, thought of others so much, never left a room without saying, I love you, giving you a hug. And since he's been gone, he changed me in that way. When to all my close friends, my family, I don't ever leave without saying, I love you. I think I make people uncomfortable now because I'm just like, love you, I love you, I love you. I don't want to be gone one day and not have told them how much I love them and they mean to me.
Right. And I'm sure being, with Bob and all those great actors and actresses, there was so much you learned about this business from being on the set of Full House. Oh yeah,
that's why I'm in the industry today. That's why I'm had a career for 40 years, because people like Bob and John and even our writers, our producers, they really set the tone and the foundation for what our experiences were as kids. And if you do have a great experience, it can be a wonderful business to be in if that's where your creative passions are. So It's pretty awesome. I loved it, and they contributed to that greatly, to still wanting to be in it today.
And you are still in it today, and I wanted to talk about a new project that you're in, and it's called Unsung Hero. And could you tell us a little bit about that movie and in your role in it?
Yeah, I would love to. So this is a big one for me. It is in theaters starting tomorrow on Friday, and so it's a inspiring true story about the Smallbone family. And you might know them if you've listened to the music for King and Country or Rebecca St. James. And I've known their family for a long time. There's 7 kids in the family, and they're so highly successful in the music industry. And yet I never knew their humble beginnings. And so their family immigrated from Australia to the U.S., and they really lost absolutely everything. And the story is about how their family worked through all of the difficulties, the challenges, but also within it had so much adventure. They had miracles happen, and they inspired and have brought so much hope. And so it was such a beautiful story. They came to me a few years ago and said, we want to share our story on the big screen. And, I've been producing family television for a really long time. That's the lane that I have been in for over 40 years. And after reading the script, I said, I'm all in. And so my production company signed on. I executive produced the film. And then I also have a small role in it and play a woman named Kay Albright, who's really instrumental in their lives in helping them get back on their feet and really being an answer to prayer in many, many ways, and helping them see that their family. There's this great line in the movie that says, your family isn't in the way, your family is the way. That's part of what Kay did for them. Wow,
it's Unsung Hero. And I guess it's a Lionsgate film, and it's going to be in theaters everywhere. You just mentioned, Candace, that you've been in the production side of family TV for the last 40 years. Can you tell us about, I don't know, all I know is that an actor and an actress are on camera. I know nothing about behind the scenes. And when I see the credits and I see key grip and all that, I have best boy. I have no idea what anything is. So can you tell me what a producer and or an executive producer does, like you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. So, there are nuances between a producer and an executive producer. But in general, it's they're the people that put all the puzzle pieces together, because that's what it is. You have a concept and you have to write a script. Once you get a script, with your writers, you have to assign people to then say, okay, who's going to direct it? Who's going to light it? Who's going to act in it? Who's going to be hair and makeup and costumes and set deck and locations and all the different departments? Producers and executive producers put those puzzle pieces together. They get financing behind it. They look for distribution. They do all the post, everything after you film the movie, putting the movie together, putting the sound and the color correction and the lighting all of the things. So that's what those people do. And it takes a lot of people, a lot of producers and executive producers to get those teams together and create a beautiful movie. So I've been producing, probably the last maybe 15 to 20 or executive producing movies, television movies that I've done. And then recently my company, Candy Rock Entertainment, we produced the last 6 movies that I've done, and then this is our first feature film, Unsung Hero. So we're super excited for this massive theater release.
That's very, very cool. So the executive producer, in layman's terms, for all the ham and eggers out there listening, she's the boss. The executive producer, the project manager, the boss. That's all you really need to know about that. Candace, so great talking to you. How's your brother doing? How's Kirk doing?
Kirk is great. He's doing really well. He's all over the place doing all of his things. He travels a lot, but he's wonderful.
And your family stay close?
I mean, we're not physically close because we're all spread out all over the country, but we are very, very close emotionally and spiritually,
right,
and all the other things. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever thought about this, because you guys have been doing this your whole life and it's been part of you and your brother's entire life? Do you ever sit back and wonder, or just kind of just zone out and say, like, man, I wonder what I would be doing if I wasn't in showbiz? Is there any type of thing something else that you're passionate about that you could see making a career out of if it wasn't for showbiz?
Yeah, it is pretty wild. I do think about that often. Like, if I wasn't born and raised in LA, what would I have done? And I think my answer is I probably would have been in fashion.
Really?
I love that industry. I have my own clothing line. So, but I don't know. I kind of feel like I probably would have made my way into entertainment at some point. I'm a storyteller at heart.
Right. And your parents, what type of business were they in?
So my dad was a public middle school teacher for over 35 years. He taught math and physical education. And my mom, for the better part of our youth, was a stay-at-home mom and raised us. And then she eventually became a talent agent.
Wow.
Because she learned so much managing us kids in the business.
A very cool story. And again, thanks so much for talking to me. Unsung Hero. It's in theaters everywhere. And Candace Cameron Bure, our guest here on Celebrity Jobber. Man, great talking to you. Again, tell Val he's got a fan that says hello. And best of luck to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
So if you grew up in Los Angeles, I guess instead of taking dance class or singing lessons or maybe playing softball, kids went to acting classes and went into commercials and went on auditions. I guess that's kind of how it happens in LA. So that's what happened with Candace. Her brother and her sister were also in the business. Of course, Kirk Cameron, big teen idol back in the 80s on the show Growing Pains. And then Candace came, a little later on with her big show, Full House. How crazy is that? Brother and sister both have these humongous TV shows, just a few years apart from the other one. I thought that's pretty amazing, to be honest with you. Just regular parents, not in showbiz. Candace's first job was an insurance commercial when she was like 5 years old. Not to mention her big break was getting the role of Full House. And I really loved how she talked to me a little bit about, growing up on that set and what she learned. And of course, she talked about the late, great Bob Saget, which I thought was pretty cool. But, with growing up on that set really taught her a lot about producing family TV, as she said. And she's had a career doing that for almost 40 years. I think it's kind of incredible. So leads us to her latest venture, Unsung Hero, new movie out in theaters everywhere. Candace has a role in the movie and is also the executive producer. So that's kind of what she's doing these days. And she said if she wasn't in showbiz, if this never happened, she was never DJ Tanner on Full House, she thinks she probably would have gotten into fashion. So I thought that was pretty interesting coming from Candace as well. Great guest, Candace Cameron Bure. I remember her husband played for a couple of seasons for the Florida Panthers. He's been retired for a little while now. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the Celebrity Jobber podcast. All past episodes are up on celebrityjobber.com. Please subscribe. Would love a 5-star rating and leave a review. That'll do it for another episode of the Celebrity Jobber podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Until next week, I'm Jeff Zito.